Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, thank you very much for tuning in to our show and for your continued support. In case you are here for the first time, allow me to request you to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell to allow YouTube to notify you whenever we release a video like this. If you are a returning subscriber, please like and share our videos. Ladies and gentlemen, things are boiling nicely. And William Ruto is slowly but surely digging his own political grave. Now, a few days ago, William Ruto shook hands with Gideon Moi. And after that, he reported to the nation that he has had a chance to share his dream. Remember, he's been saying that Kenya imechelewa in terms of development, and that we're supposed to be like Singapore. So he told us that he has had an opportunity to sit down with the Odinga family, the Kenyatta family, and the Moi family to show them and to showcase his agenda and his vision. And he told us that somehow they agreed with him.
Nimezungumza na viongozi wengi katika taifa letu la Kenya. Nimeongea na wabunge almost 80% of parliament. One-on-one, to explain to them how we are going to move this country from a third world country to a first world country. I have had a conversation with our former Prime Minister Raila Odinga on how we are going to move this country from a third world country to a first world country. I have engaged my brother, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, on how we are going to move this country from a third world country to a first world country. I have engaged many, including Gideon Moi recently, on how we are going to move this country from a third world country to a first world country. And I will continue to engage all the leaders until we come together so that we can take this country to be a first world country in our lifetime.
You know, that statement sparked some fierce debate because we know what happens when leaders shake hands. We saw him shake hands with Raila Odinga at the height of Gen Z protest. And what happened was that Raila gave out some people to help in several ministerial positions. And when Ruto went to Ishaweri to meet the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, the next thing we saw was that some very close allies of Uhuru Kenyatta were appointed into the cabinet. What we didn't know was what was going to happen after the Gideon Ruto handshake. In fact, that handshake did not go down well with the youths, the Kanu youths, because William Ruto addressed the National Delegate Conference of the Kanu National Delegates Conference. And people are wondering, how can a UDA leader be given an opportunity to address the NDC, Kanu NDC? And the youths already knew what was happening, and today they rejected that kind of handshake because they knew they were not going to be part of it.
So ideally, we as the Kanu Youth Congress are reiterating the fact that we are not part and fully dissociate ourselves from the alleged partnership or coalition between our party chairperson, Honorable Gideon Moi, and the President, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto. In this case, we strongly affirm our beliefs in the rule of law, protection of human rights, and promotion of social justice. We believe that the youth deserve a place to be heard and listened to, and our agenda shall not trickle down because of the individuals of one particular person. So ideally today, we stand together in solidarity to state that we are not part of the agreement that has been tabled between our chairperson and the president. We want to believe that this decision was made with the topmost officials of the party, and the youth officials and the youth at large were not consulted, or rather were sidelined when this decision was being made. So in that regard, our voices must be heard, and that's why today we are here to state that whatever decision was made without our input, is not viable at the moment. Not shaken. So we will continue vouching for what we believe in. And we believe in the protection of the rule of law, protection of human rights, and in Kenya. So as a youth caucus of the KANU Youth Congress, we are going to stand firm with our belief that we are the voices of change. So regardless of the direction that our party chairman takes, we will stand by what we believe in.
But little did we know that the script is the same. The actors are different. Just like William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta produced certain ministers, just like Ruto and Raila produced some cabinet secretaries. The KTN is now reporting that they've gotten wind to some leaked information that Gideon Moi actually got into this handshake, and William Ruto has revived leaders just like they did with ODM and Jubilee. They are leaders from KANU, senior leaders who are very close to who are very close to Gideon Moi, who are going to be appointed into several ministerial positions. With Gideon Moi poised to be becoming the second deputy prime minister of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, as I told you, things are boiling nicely. Listen to KTN story.
Mtazamaji, NTV imebaini majina ya viongozi wa chama cha KANU wanaotarajiwa kupewa nafasi za uwaziri, makatibu, ubalozi na makatibu wa wizara kufuatia mkutano wa wiki iliyopita kati ya mwenyekiti wa chama hicho ambaye ni Gideon Moi na Rais William Ruto. Orodha hiyo inajumuisha aliyekuwa seneta, aliyekuwa mwakilishi wa kike na maafisa kadhaa wa juu chamani KANU wanaotarajiwa kujiunga na serikali jumuishi, huko Gideon Moi akihusishwa na nafasi mpya naibu wa mkuu wa mawaziri katika mabadiliko yanayotarajiwa serikalini hivi karibuni. David Mudhoka anatufungulia taarifa zetu jioni hii.
Kileleni mwa orodha hiyo ni Gideon Moi anayehusishwa na nafasi ya naibu wa mkuu wa mawaziri. Aidha, Gideon anahusishwa na Wizara ya Habari, Mawasiliano na Teknolojia ambayo kwa sasa inaongozwa na William Kabogo, ambaye kwa mujibu wa taarifa za ndani huenda akahamishiwa wizara nyingine wala sio kuondolewa serikalini. Aliyekuwa kiongozi wa wengi katika seneti na seneta wa West Pokot Samuel Losuron Pogisio pia anatarajiwa kuteuliwa waziri kama sehemu ya makubaliano kati ya Rais William Ruto na Moi. Iwapo atateuliwa, Pogisio aliyewahi kuhudumu kama waziri wa ICT kati ya mwaka 2008 na 2013 atarejea serikalini, pengine katika wizara ya masuala ya kigeni inayoshikiliwa kwa sasa na mkuu wa mawaziri Musalia Mudavadi, ambaye naye anahusishwa na uhamisho kwenda wizara yenye ushawishi zaidi. Wakati huo, miongoni mwa wanaohusishwa na nafasi za makatibu wa wizara ni Gladwell Tungo, ambaye alikuwa mwakilishi wa kike wa kaunti ya Baringo, Ibrahim Sheikh ambaye ndiye naibu mwenyekiti wa kwanza wa KANU na anayesemekana kuandamana na Moi katika mazungumzo ya Abu Dhabi na Rais William Ruto yaliyopangwa na Raila Odinga. Abdi Rahman Bafadhil anayetajwa kuwa watatu kwa ushawishi ndani ya KANU na miongoni mwa waanzilishi wa vuguvugu la YK92, mweka hazina wa KANU Edi Kivuvani, pamoja na mkurugenzi wa uchaguzi chamani KANU Ali Khan, ambaye pia ni msaidizi binafsi wa Gideon Moi. Jina lingine linaloibuka ni la John Burugu Njuguna, ambaye ni kamishna katika kamati ya kiufundi ya mahusiano kati ya serikali kuu na kaunti.
Now, that is the video courtesy of KTN, and I believe you're not surprised at all, because we've always mentioned on this channel that when William Ruto got and ascended to power, his main agenda was to kill the opposition, whether big or small. Any dissenting voices were to be killed. And at first, his strategy was to confront the opposition. He confronted Raila, he confronted Uhuru Kenyatta, trying to take the Jubilee Party and give it to Sabina Chege, and he confronted KANU. And then he realized this was not going to work. And so what did he do? He dropped the hustler narrative and he started bringing them back one by one. Raila, Uhuru, and Gideon Moi, just to ensure that he kills the dissenting voices. But that has backfired because Rigathi Gachagua is more vibrant than even all those combined. But ladies and gentlemen, something very pathetic is happening in our country, because I have realized that in the three handshakes, there are some two similarities. Number one, they are reviving old leaders. Yet the youths of today are being told they are the future leaders. That future never comes. You know, in the ODM, those who had completed their term, 2 terms as governors, were revived and given ministerial positions. Look at what is happening today, even with the KANU. Those who had been ministers in the previous regime were revived. And in this one, Gideon Moi, Pugishio, they are going to be revived. And you're wondering, surely, and by the way, I'm not against giving some of these people positions. I know that good leadership is one that is a mixture of the old and the youth. The youths are vibrant. They have hope for a better future. The old the youth will depend on the experience of the old. But then reviving them when our youths are languishing in poverty and there is no hope for them. Because what can we say about this regime with the youths? The only thing that youths remember, if you ask them, is that they were killed during or from the Gen Z's protest in 2024. And that is very, very similar in all the handshakes. They are reviving leaders. Number two, they leave out and they sideline youths in the process. And this is a clear indication that this regime is not for the youths, it is not for the hustlers. Because William Ruto campaigned on a platform of hustlers versus the dynasties. So he is more dynasty than all those. In terms of money, influence and everything, William Ruto is a dynasty. And let me tell you, William Ruto used the hustlers as a ladder. And after he got to be equal with the dynasties, now they can sit on the same table. Now they understand each other in another level that you and I cannot. All he was fighting for was to use you, the hustler, to get to that higher level where dynasties sit. Now he sits with them. But I like something that William Ruto and these old guards have just showed us, that we are not with them. The youths are not with them. Gen Zs and millennials must understand that they are not. This government is not for them. Ruto used to say that he wanted to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. The gap is widening. He said his economic model, the bottom up, was to look at those who are at the bottom of the economic pyramid. It's on the contrary, he's now benefiting more the rich, those who are at the top of the pyramid. And the youths have been told in no uncertain terms that we are not with you. And what does this mean to them? Youths must now understand that they must rally themselves together. They must take it upon themselves to change this regime. And the rift is widening. If they thought that it was a joke, now they know it is serious. I also like the fact that youths have the courage to resist, because the KANU youths are saying, we are not part and parcel of this. And that is the courage that we want. And they are saying they are not going to be part of it. They have that courage and they are speaking it out. They don't want to be part of it. And they are encouraging the youths all over the country to take advantage of this period where there is voter registration to ensure that they register. Because guys, that is the only way we are going to get the change that we want. We can never achieve this change by relying on these people. Let me tell you, Ruto, Raila, Mudavadi, Wetangula, Kalonzo, Rigathi, all those old guards, And I know because of the situation that we are in, we still have hope that the opposition, maybe like Kalonzo, Rigathi, can do something. But that's the same thing. That's the same thing Ruto did in 2022. People had a lot of hope. At least some section of the country had hopes. But for those who had worked with William Ruto, walituambia the crocodile is sick, but we doubted. So I love that courage. And if the youths are going to register as voters, they're going to change this country. Number two, the youth must now offer themselves in leadership positions. Period. Because when we rely on others, look at what they are now doing. They are ganging up. And once they are ganged up against the youth, let the youth also gang up against them and see who has got the numbers. Our problem is that our youths are still relying on them. Pale hivyo ukiangalia the formations. Kwa hiyo position ni Raila tu, hii broad-based government kwa ODM ni Raila, hapa kwa UDA ni Ruto. Ukiangalia ile side ingine, we only have people like Gachagua. Look at this other side, Maraga. Of course, youths play second fiddle. But even if they are going to produce a candidate from one of the old politicians, let youth ensure that all the members of parliament are youth, so that they will be dictating what happens in the country, because they are lawmakers. I don't know what you think, but this is very pathetic. Ladies and gentlemen, the battle lines have been drawn. It is now upon the youth, because they have seen it themselves, that they are not part of this regime, and they have said, let them ensure that they have a date with destiny. Youth, you have been left alone. The ball is on your court. Mcheze kama nyinyi.